Have you ever felt your stomach drop because someone didn't reply? That crushing, suffocating silence, it feels small, but it cuts deep. Let me tell you something brave and uncomfortable. Being ignored hurts because we are wired for connection. When someone pulls away without explanation, your body doesn't just notice. It reacts. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts spiral. You reread old messages. You wonder what you did wrong. You question your worth. And that's the real wound. It's not the silence, it's the story you attach to the silence. When someone ignores you, your mind starts filling in the blanks. I'm not important. I said too much. I'm too much. I'm not enough. And suddenly their absence becomes a verdict on your value. But listen carefully. Someone else's silence is not a measurement of your worth. Rejection and exclusion activate the same pain centers in the brain as physical injury. So if it feels like it hurts in your body, that's because it does. You are not dramatic. You are human. The real power begins the moment you stop chasing clarity from someone who is committed to confusion. The moment you stop begging for crumbs of attention and start honoring your own emotional dignity. Sometimes being ignored is not abandonment. Sometimes it's information, and information, even painful information, is power. Let's go deeper. When someone ignores you, the loudest voice in the room isn't theirs, it's yours. And that voice can be ruthless. You start narrating a story that feels painfully real. They're tired of me. I messed this up. If I were more interesting, more attractive, more successful, they wouldn't pull away. And before you know it, you're not reacting to their silence anymore. You're reacting to your own shame. Shame is that whisper that says something is wrong with me. And here's what I want you to understand. Shame thrives in ambiguity. Silence gives it oxygen. When there's no explanation, your mind fills in the worst possible one. But let me challenge you gently and fiercely at the same time. What if their silence says more about their capacity than your worth? Some people don't ignore you because you are unlovable. They ignore you because they are emotionally unavailable. They ignore you because they avoid discomfort. They ignore you because they don't know how to have hard conversations. And instead of saying, I can't show up for this, they disappear. That's not strength. That's avoidance. You are not weak for feeling hurt. You are brave for caring. But courage is not chasing someone who withholds. Courage is sitting with the discomfort and refusing to turn it into self-hatred. When you change the story, you change the suffering. Their silence is a behavior. Your shame is a choice. Let's be honest. It's never just about the text message. It's never just about the unanswered call. When someone ignores you, it awakens something older, something deeper, something that has nothing to do with today and everything to do with yesterday. It touches the memory of being overlooked, not chosen, not prioritized, not seen, and suddenly you're not reacting as an adult. You're reacting from the part of you that learned long ago that attention equals safety. That's why it hurts so intensely, because your nervous system interprets silence as danger. Disconnection feels like threat. Your body goes into alert mode. Fix it. Restore it. Don't lose it. But here's the powerful truth. Awareness interrupts the cycle. When you notice the trigger, you reclaim your power. You can pause and say, this pain feels bigger than this moment. And that pause, that's emotional maturity. Being ignored doesn't just challenge your patience. It challenges your sense of belonging. And belonging is one of our deepest human needs. But here's what I want you to hear clearly. Someone withdrawing does not mean you are unworthy of connection. It means the connection was not secure, and there is a difference. The pain you feel is valid. The story you're telling yourself may not be. You are not reliving your past anymore. You are an adult with choices. And sometimes the bravest choice is to stop trying to be seen by someone committed to not looking. Let me say something that might sting a little. The moment you start chasing someone who is ignoring you, you abandon yourself. I know the urge. You want clarity. You want reassurance. You want to restore connection. So you send another message, then another. You check their status. You analyze their activity. You try to decode silence like it's a puzzle you just haven't solved yet. But here's the hard truth. When someone is truly invested, you don't have to decode them. When someone cares, you feel it. When someone values you, you don't question it. Chasing is not love. Chasing is anxiety in motion. And every time you run after someone who is withholding, you send yourself a dangerous message. Their attention matters more than my dignity. That's where the real damage happens. Self-respect isn't loud, it's quiet. It says, if you want distance, I will not compete with your silence. It says, I deserve communication, not confusion. Sometimes we confuse persistence with passion. But there is nothing romantic about begging to be acknowledged. There is nothing noble about shrinking yourself to make someone stay. If someone is ignoring you, pause. Don't perform. Don't plead. Don't over-explain your existence. Let their silence speak, because sometimes being ignored isn't rejection, it's redirection. Silence is not empty, it's revealing. When someone ignores you, they are communicating, just not with words. They are showing you their capacity, their emotional availability, their willingness to engage in discomfort. And here's the uncomfortable truth: silence often exposes what words were hiding. Maybe they said they cared. Maybe they promised consistency. Maybe they talked about always being there. But when conflict came, when vulnerability was required, when accountability was necessary, they disappeared. That's information. Healthy connection doesn't collapse under discomfort. Mature love doesn't vanish when things feel awkward. Emotional strength does not ghost. So if someone goes quiet instead of leaning in, it tells you something powerful. They may not have the tools to hold what you're offering. And that has nothing to do with your value. We often romanticize potential. We fall in love with who someone could be if they healed, if they grew, if they showed up differently. But you cannot build intimacy on imagined effort. You deserve presence. You deserve clarity. You deserve someone who stays in the room when things get hard. When someone ignores you, don't immediately ask, what did I do wrong? Ask, what is this revealing about them? Because sometimes the silence you fear is actually protecting you from investing deeper into someone who cannot meet you there. Here's where your power is tested. When someone ignores you, your instinct is to react, to fix it, to demand clarity, to prove your worth. Your fingers hover over the keyboard. Your heart pounds. You want relief, and you want it now. But courage is not reacting from panic. Courage is sitting in the discomfort without betraying yourself. Emotional maturity is the ability to feel the wave without becoming the wave. You can feel hurt without chasing. You can feel confused without collapsing. You can feel rejected without rejecting yourself. That pause, that restraint, that is strength. Because reacting impulsively often leads to over-explaining, over-apologizing, over-giving. And afterward, you don't just feel ignored, you feel exposed. You feel like you gave away pieces of your dignity just to get a response. But when you choose not to react immediately, something shifts. You send yourself a powerful message. My worth does not depend on their reply. Silence can be a mirror. It reflects how regulated you are, how secure you are, how deeply you trust yourself. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It means you respond intentionally instead of desperately. You breathe, you step back, you allow space, and sometimes in that space, the truth becomes undeniable. If someone values you, they will close the gap. If they don't, your restraint will protect your peace. This is the part that hurts the most. You cannot convince someone to value you. You cannot argue someone into caring. You cannot love someone into emotional maturity. And when someone ignores you, the deepest temptation is to prove that you are worth choosing. You become sweeter, more understanding, less demanding. You shrink your needs. You tell yourself, maybe I'm expecting too much. You begin negotiating with your own standards just to keep them close. But here's the truth that will set you free. If someone has to be persuaded to see your value, they are not your person. Real connection does not require auditioning. You should not have to perform for basic respect. You should not have to dim your voice to keep someone from walking away. You should not have to earn what should be freely given. Attention communication, consistency. When someone ignores you repeatedly, they are making a choice, and it's painful to admit that because we want to believe it's temporary, accidental, misunderstood. But patterns tell the truth that words avoid. You deserve to be chosen clearly, not occasionally, not when convenient, not when they're bored or lonely. Chosen fully, intentionally, consistently. And the moment you stop trying to force someone to choose you, you begin choosing yourself. That is not giving up. That is growing up. Here's the truth most people avoid. Boundaries are not walls. They are not punishment. They are acts of courage. When someone ignores you, establishing a boundary is not about controlling them. It's about protecting your heart. It's about saying, I will not shrink, chase, or tolerate inconsistency to prove my worth. Boundaries create clarity. They tell others how you expect to be treated, and more importantly, they tell YOU how you deserve to be treated. Too often, we confuse love with tolerance. We confuse commitment with availability. And we confuse persistence with loyalty. But being ignored repeatedly is a clear signal your emotional energy is being depleted and your dignity is at stake. A boundary might look like stepping back. A boundary might look like silence in return. A boundary might look like refusing to explain yourself to someone who refuses to show up. This isn't rejection. This is recognition. Recognition of your own worth, your own needs, your own emotional sovereignty. And here's the powerful part. The moment you honor your boundaries, the pain of being ignored begins to transform. It no longer feels like abandonment. It feels like liberation. You stop asking for explanations you don't deserve. You stop chasing energy you can't control. You stop negotiating your peace for someone else's comfort. Boundaries are the bridge between self-respect and emotional freedom. When you wield them, silence loses its power over you because your attention, your heart, and your love are no longer negotiable. Here's something most people never tell you: being ignored is a painful, uncomfortable, and yet extraordinarily powerful gift. I know it doesn't feel like a gift in the moment. It feels like rejection. It feels like loneliness. It feels like your heart has been shoved into a corner and left to ache. But there is a hidden lesson, and it is transformational. When someone ignores you, they are showing you with brutal honesty where your energy belongs, and where it does not, they are handing you clarity wrapped in discomfort. They are saying, here is a mirror. See where you are overextending. See where your boundaries are too soft. See where you are giving your heart to someone incapable of receiving it fully. This is sacred insight. Painful, yes, but sacred. Because it forces you to confront a truth most of us run from. Not everyone is meant to stay. Not everyone is meant to understand your value. Not everyone is worthy of your time, your energy, your love. When you lean into this discomfort, when you feel the sting without spinning into shame, you gain something no rejection can take away: self-knowledge, strength, emotional resilience, wisdom. Being ignored teaches you to prioritize your own attention over the approval of others, to protect your heart without numbing it, to honor yourself instead of chasing someone else's inconsistent care. And here's the remarkable part: the more you embrace this gift, the less the silence of others can control you. You begin to feel lighter, freer, more alive, because you are no longer tethered to their availability. You are tethered to your own truth. Let me leave you with this. The hurt you feel when someone ignores you is not wasted. It is a teacher, a signal, a call to reclaim your power. You are not weak for noticing the silence. You are not fragile for feeling the ache. You are human, wired for connection, and that is beautiful. But here's the truth that changes everything. You do not need anyone else's attention to validate your existence. You do not need someone else's acknowledgement to feel worthy. You are enough, fully, deeply, unconditionally. When you stop chasing silence, you stop shrinking. When you stop trying to force connection, you start growing. Every pang of being ignored is a reminder that your energy is sacred and your boundaries are non-negotiable. Every unanswered message is an invitation to turn inward, to nourish yourself, to honor your own heart. And here's the final revelation: those who truly belong in your life will not ignore you. They will show up. They will communicate. They will lean into the discomfort alongside you. And those who do not, their silence has done you a favor. It has shown you where not to invest your love, where not to bend, where not to compromise your peace. Being ignored is painful, yes, but is also a powerful sign, a signal that your worth is not defined by someone else's attention. It is defined by how fiercely, tenderly, and unapologetically you choose to honor yourself. So let their silence be your guide. Let it strengthen you, clarify you, and set you free. And above all, let it remind you that the most powerful relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. You are enough. Always.